Chords are a really big part of Western music, but it's only one part of the equation. What musical concept do the majority of melodies use? Scales. So that's actually going to be the focus of our videos at this point in our beginner series. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing how to figure out and play beginner major scales. And as always, we will be using this knowledge to create our own little mini songs. Now, if you've missed the beginning of this series, check out the description for the link to those videos. We are building on concepts every single video, so if you're feeling lost, that's a really good place to start. If we haven't met, I'm Rosemarie Penner, online piano teacher and composer at Must Love Music. I help make learning piano fun, simple, and interactive with creative ideas to bring on those smiles. Now, look, many piano students are not a fan of scales, and spoiler alert, neither was I. You know, it can feel really boring and repetitive, and it can feel not fun. But scales are really a foundation of so many of the things that we do in music, and so they are important. But don't worry, there are ways to make them more fun. Music loves patterns. And in this particular video, we're going to be looking at the pattern that major scales make. It's a series of half steps and whole steps in a particular pattern that makes these scales so unique. And the cool part is that once you've learned this pattern, you could start on any note, any of the 88 keys, and create a major scale on your piano. Now, if you're wondering half steps and whole steps, we have a video. It's called How to Create Major and Minor Chords on the Piano for the original introduction to this concept. You may see it up at the top here, but the link will be in the description as well. We're only going to be using the first 5 notes of the major scale, and this is a lot easier for beginner students because of finger dexterity and just being able to know what all the notes are. If you're wondering what the 5-finger scales would be called, this one is actually called a major pentascale. And then we've got our 8-note scales, which those ones are then called full octave scales. So the major scale has a particular pattern, as I had mentioned, and so it is a whole step, a whole step, half step, whole step. So what does this mean on the piano? What does this look like? Well, let's find our middle C. So we're finding 2 black keys. We're going just to the left of them. Here is C. And these steps really refer to the relationship between how far apart notes are. So quick review, if I go from C to the very, very next note, that's a half step. And if I do one more half step, I've got a whole step. So our pattern is whole step. So another whole step. Now we've got a half step. So I'm going to my very, very next note and then a whole step. And we always want to go up and down, or to the right and to the left. So let's go down. Whole step, half step, whole step, and then whole step. Okay, so what this looks and sounds like without me letting you know the pattern. And you can do this on any C on the piano. So if I was to start on the C below, so I'm going to find my 2 black keys, go to the left of them. Okay, if in previous videos we have used gems, or like those little cool glass stones that you can get from craft stores to mark this on your piano, that works out really well. Anytime that you need to, just pause this video and then you can practice and then come back. So we've played with our right hand, we've played with our left hand. Now what we're going to do is hands together. Be forewarned, it may feel like your brain is going like this, and that's because you're going to be playing with different fingers, even though it seems like it should be easy to go parallel, right? Like you're both hands are moving up, both hands are moving down. Take it easy and just try it out. So we're going to start on C, C, D, E, F, G, back down, G, F, E, D, C. All right, so that's not so bad, right? What if we start on a different note? Let's start on D. We've done one where there's no black keys involved. Let's figure out D, and I'm going to start with my left hand this time. So again, we've got that whole, whole, half, whole pattern. From here, whole step, whole step. Oh, okay, so we got to skip this one. Go up to our black key. Now we need a half step and a whole step, and then back down. So go a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, and right hand. We always want to make sure we do both hands. And let's do it hands together. D, E, F sharp, G, A, G, F sharp, E, D. Again, like I said, you can start on any note. We're just going to do those two for this video. As we played it, you may have realized why scales have such a bad reputation as being boring. You can imagine that would not be so much fun to do for long periods of time. What we've done is we've learned the basic pattern. We've done this in C major. We've done this in D major. Some teachers will have you go through all of them, and that's actually a really great exercise. It does train your ear so that you recognize major scales when you hear them a lot faster. But we're not going to do that. We're going to do a little bit of improvising. We're going to create that mini song that I had talked about. Previous videos, when we have created songs, I've talked about how we can use long and short sounds in order to create rhythms. We can repeat notes. We can go up and then switch to down without going all the way to the top of the scale. This creates actually the basis for songs. What we're going to do is we're not going to skip any notes quite yet, but let's go back to C major. C, D, E, F, G, back down. Okay. Use some repeating notes, switch a little bit, and I'll play a little example and then pause the video and try this out. It's a scale, but it also really sounds a lot like a song. And you can do this in your left hand as well. So an example in your left hand. It makes it a lot more fun. I do different rhythms with my students when we are doing scales, and oftentimes we will even add chords to them, but that is not for this video. Please pause. The best way to learn is to try, to test it out for yourself and experiment. So I would love to hear from you. What was the most challenging or perhaps easiest part of learning the major scales? Let me know in the comments below. Next week, we are looking at minor scales, and that'll actually cover two of the main scales that we use within Western music. If you are not subscribed, you probably want to do that so that you don't miss out. I'm looking forward to seeing you then.